Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome back to the sandbox mode, in which I've been doing a little bit of work and a little bit of experimentation. In the background, we have the regular Abaddon, now using frag shells, we have a swarm missile variant, and we have a minigun variant with two cannons, which are around about half of the strength of the Bloodletter cannon. Essentially, a really unholy mix of the Bloodletter and the Abaddon. Here, we have Carnage. Now, Carnage is starting to look like something Batman would use, which really wasn't my intention, but since I actually quite like the shape, it's probably what we're going to stick with. This is going to be the new aircraft for the Lathrixian Legion. Now, I'm not yet sure what weapons we're going to be using. It's made out of entirely heavy armor. It's going to have 2 or 3 steam engines with 2 or 3 battery sections to actually generate the power. And then, I don't really know, it depends on how much space we actually have available. So, I'm going to continue to build this and discuss any changes I make along the way. Originally, I was just going to finish building it and then show the finished product, but this is one of those builds where I'm not quite sure where I'm going, so I would rather just talk it out, what I'm doing, and explain it along the way, because that helps me and stuff. So, I'll be back in a second when this is a bit further along in the developmental process. Hey everyone, this is from the future. I do apologise for this clip suddenly being inserted and a bit of a spoiler for the future of the craft. But sadly, recently, with the YouTube analytics system and the YouTube algorithms being absolute nightmares to deal with, a lot of people are being unsubscribed from my channel recently, and a lot of problems like that, people not seeing my videos, even though they are subscribed to me, more so than ever before. And what a lot of people have found out after talking to a lot of YouTubers is it is heavily dependent on your analytics, on likes, even dislikes, comments, pretty much everything else. So if you do like my content, if you do like the From the Depths series, please consider hitting the like button in the videos you watch. This is the only time I'm going to mention this. I really do apologise. I hate talking about stuff like this, especially in the middle of the video, but it's honestly for the security of this channel. If you do like my content, then please consider hitting the like button. It really does help out a lot and is very appreciated. Thank you, and now continuing on with the video. I do apologise. Okay, so I think I've got the basic shape down. The only problem is, because of the amount of armor we're using and the fact it's heavy armor, this is going to be ridiculously expensive and ridiculously heavy. I originally intended to just make it a true thruster craft, similar to the Firework and various other aircraft I've made in the past, but instead, I think what I'm going to do is make it a PID hovercraft and thrustercraft hybrid. That way, we control the pitch using the regular thrustercraft controls, but everything else will be controlled by the PID system to give us a bit of leeway in terms of how much thrust we're going to need where, because otherwise, this thing's just going to be made out of heavy armor and thrusters. Also, because of the amount of armor, we do have a limited amount of space on the inside. Here's our current proto steam engine. Then we have this section here, and this section over here, which of course can be hollowed out a little bit more now I have all the framework in. I'm not sure what weapon we can really use. Either a very small laser system, which I don't think would work very well, a missile system, which I think would work fantastically, a particle cannon, which may work decently, or a cram cannon using the bomb chute, although that will take a lot more effort and honestly be one of the least effective. But if we do it really well, it could work out. Time for more planning and scheming. Also, ignore the shields going on and off in the background. Nothing to see there. Almost. Oh, okay. Not quite. Come on, I believe in you, little PID system. We're going to need to tweak some things, I believe. I mean, it's almost stable. Kind of. Aerial AI has just been installed and tweaked a lot, and surprisingly, it actually plays very nicely with the PID systems. As you can see, it's currently maintaining an altitude of 180 and a velocity of 70. Surprisingly quick for a hunk of heavy metal. Now that was a near-perfect takeoff. So, regardless of that little takeoff then, we have now added our very first weapon to the aircraft, which is, of course, missiles. Some of you will hate that, some of you will love that. Personally, I absolutely adore it. So we are using cruise missiles, and probably I'm going to have to remove that bit of the spike, and that will likely be the main weapon, purely because we do not have enough space to have a good cram cannon to actually add a bombing element to this craft. We could go ahead and maybe add some missile-based bombs, we could do that, but the cram cannon, we just don't have enough space to make it even remotely worth it. We could add a very small advanced cannon, but I don't think that would work out as well as I would hope. A bit boring, but I do believe that missiles will be our answer to the enemy when it comes to using aircraft. Okay, so I think I've decided what we're going to do in terms of weaponry. We're going to focus almost solely on the missiles we are currently using, and then we are going to add even more power to the aircraft. So that means we can add shields, or possibly even anti-missile lasers, and we can also add flares. So this is going to be a really, really hard to kill aircraft, which is going to be the ultimate distraction. If the Abaddon is hard to kill, this is going to be even more difficult. Of course, it's also going to be even more expensive, but hey-ho, let's be tanky and let's be evil. Because that makes sense. Well, I mean, it is protected, just very ramshackle and kind of looking like a UFO. Building neat is not my strong point. Okay, the bottom is now also protected, so all I need to do now is make all the shields go invisible, because right now that is absolutely hideous. There's definitely blind spots, but I can't cover everywhere. I would love to simply lower the strength of the shields, but sadly, the shields are actually weaker the faster your craft is moving. You can find out more details on the From the Depths wiki about that, but essentially, if you're moving beyond a certain speed, the shields get weaker, and then the faster you go after that, the weaker and weaker they get. So if I lower any of them below 5, most of them are 5, currently a couple of them are 7, they're just not going to work at all. There's going to be no point in them in the slightest. So I'm going to have to sacrifice some locations, like for instance, if I'm underneath I can easily damage there. But hopefully this will cover most of the standard angles. So it's time to make them all go bye-bye into invisibility land. Bye-bye into invisibility land. It is far too tired for me. It's far too late for me to be recording. Can you tell? This poor little Forsaken. I'm sorry, but we're testing our missiles on you right now. Okay, there he goes. The Forsaken is dead. Okay, so the Forsaken is a very light enemy from the White Flyers, and I actually spawned it in to test out our shields, but sadly it spawned in upside down. I have no idea why it did this, but it did. So let's spawn it in again. Now, please shoot me. I would like to see if the shields can deflect even basic shots. Remember, the faster we're moving, the worse the shields are. Okay, that was a deflect. Another deflect just then. Missiles hitting the target and killing it. The missiles do have 5 warheads. They are very, very nasty. Okay, seems to be going just fine. Let's spawn in one more Forsaken. Please shoot it correctly. You know what? Oh look, there's loads of Forsakens. Actually hit me, please. Missiles killing one of them. Okay, maybe we need to spawn in a different enemy. This isn't going well. Although, our craft is doing what I was hoping to see, though. It is circling the enemy on a very wide circle. I don't want it to really go above the enemy. So it's going to try and avoid them and just circle overhead, which of course is going to be really annoying for any heavy weaponry, such as cram cannons. Well, there goes that one's weapon. Yep, the missiles are doing fine. Let's despawn these enemies and find something which can hit me a little bit more reliably. The Ravager uses cram cannon, so that's not going to work. I believe these use anti-shield shells, so I'm not quite sure if this is going to go well. There you are, hello. Are we just moving in such a way that they cannot follow us? Flares distracting the enemy missiles, and our missiles being a bit too close and not quite hitting. Well, at least some of them didn't hit. Although it has apparently turned it off. Maybe I should go for just regular explosive missiles. Okay, well, that enemy is pretty much dead since it can't fight back. The enemy priest, we've seen these. What do you use? Ooh, railguns. Again, not able to hit us. I feel very bad for the white flyers right now. This is going to be really bad for them once these are spawned into the campaign. Once again, missiles being distracted by the flares. What on earth is that? That is the smallest missile I have ever seen. Oh, including one missile and... Nope, flares. Oh, I feel so mean. I love it to bits, but I feel so mean. Maybe I should swap out the cruise missiles for shorter range swarm missiles instead. We could do that fairly easily. Okay, so I've already tested out a couple of vehicles, and sadly they either had fuses on their weapons, or they simply died far too quickly, or just couldn't hit the flyer. So let's try out the Kingfisher. I actually can't remember at all what the Kingfisher has in terms of weaponry. And naturally it spawns all the way over there. Let's go with this one. Okay, at this point I have tested out against around about 6 different enemies, and each time they either have fuses in their weapons, so the shell detonates on the shield, or they simply can't hit us. Oh, it looks like this one can. Okay, a few deflects there. Not as many as I'd like. A lot of deflects that time. Loads of deflects that time. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Hardly any are getting through. That's absolutely fine, no problem whatsoever. We also have a lot of repair bots on this craft, similar to the Abaddon. And there goes the enemy. Yep, that's good enough for me. That was a good enough test, finally. So let's save this vehicle as it is. I'm going to do a little bit of tweaking. I need to mess around with the roll, and I need to mess around with how the thrust acts with the pitch in terms of using the aerial AI, so it does climb if we go to mountainous regions. After that, the aircraft is pretty much good to go in the campaign. And I might add some internal rotor blades just to make the turning a little bit sharper. Although it does try to do that slide anyway, because that's how it's set up, it might not need it, so a lot more testing is needed. Okay, so normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm actually going to call the episode a little bit early here. This has took me the best part of 4, maybe 5 hours building this craft. I did change my mind a lot, and after looking back at the footage, a lot of it isn't going to be used, so it's probably going to be a very short video in the Ashes of the Empire campaign. But at least that means I should get this video out by Saturday. The original goal was perhaps Sunday, and I hope you have enjoyed. In the comments below, if you have a name for this craft, then I would love to hear it. It's currently called Carnage, but that is probably going to be a placeholder name. I'm not overly keen on it. It's an okay name, but it is pretty generic and a little bit boring. So if you have a better name, then please tell me in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. In the next episode, we're going to get back into the campaign, we're going to be using the Abaddon variants to see how they do, and we are going to be using this aircraft as a new... I don't really know if it's meant to be a fast response vehicle, or a frontline vehicle, or whatever, just a bit of assistance, but it's going to be fun having flyers once again. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.